Hello, homies, and welcome to day 4 of Homeopathy Awareness Week. The 1 week in the year where we take the time to celebrate the founder of homeopathy, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, who was born on the 10th of April, 1755 in Meissen, Germany. For the 3rd year running, the Homeopathy Hangout podcast is releasing daily episodes all week where we share testimonials on homeopathy from our listeners around the world. I want to take this time to thank you with all my heart to the brave people who shared their stories. Believe me, I know how nerve-wracking it can sometimes be to record yourself, so I want you to know that I honor and appreciate each and every one of you who was so brave to share your testimonial. You're also welcome to listen back on our Homeopathy Awareness Week testimonials from 2023 and 2024. Just listen back to the episodes around the 180s and also around the 280s. These are great episodes to forward to your family and friends or anyone else who may need a bit of convincing of the healing powers of homeopathy or simply to celebrate the magical healing art of homeopathy. Thanks so much for listening.
Hi there, homies. My name is Kim, and I have been using homeopathy in the form of homeopathic prophylaxis. That's how my journey began, just trying to find an alternative to all the vaccines. But I only really saw the miracle of homeopathy when my daughter had a reaction to some house dust, and my beautiful neighbor, who was a practicing homeopath, rushed over, gave her 2 pilules of pulsatilla, and it worked. All the symptoms, this major inflammation and respiratory constriction went away. It was nothing short of a miracle. And from that day forward, I vowed to be a dedicated home prescriber. And I have used homeopathy when my daughter had to have her adenoids out to control and manage her pain, to detox her from the antibiotics that were prescribed, and also the anesthetic. I have used it with my husband with his polycystic kidney disease and to manage his vertigo. I've used it in my perimenopausal symptoms to handle my mummy rage, and also just for conscious evolution. I truly do believe that this is the answer to humanity's, not only our physical symptoms, this terrible health crisis that we're going through, but just to help us move and graduate spiritually, that we can overcome all these blockages and shift things on a conscious level and subconscious level and really heal the damage that's happened throughout our lineages. You know, there's, along with meditation and the other spiritual practices, homeopathy it's God's medicine to humanity. And it's right here. It's accessible. There are the most incredible homeopaths currently practicing, that have practiced, and, you know, these medicine men and women that are coming through now, forging the pathways for our conscious evolution. And I feel so buoyed by this fact that things can be different, and it really helps me on my days where I feel, where are we going with all of this, and is humanity going to survive? This gives me hope. So thank you to all the home prescribers out there, the practicing homeopaths, the students of homeopathy, to the forefathers of homeopathy, the foremothers of homeopathy, and all the generations to come. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this beautiful medicine.
My name is Kelly Moss in Virginia, USA. I love homeopathy, and I've used it with myself, family, and grandchildren. One of my grandchildren, number 11 out of 11, would not stop crying since birth. She had trauma in the womb. Mom had trauma as well. I instructed Mom to give 1 dose of Syphilinum CM. Mom gave several doses that day. Anyway, a few days later, baby had stopped crying and was happy again. I checked in a week and 2 weeks later, and baby needed another dose at about 20 days. And she's been so much better ever since. Thank you. Thank you, homeopathy, for existing.
Around 18 months ago, I was introduced to homeopathy. And since I have started using it, I have felt so empowered. I have felt empowered as a mom, as a wife, as a healer in general. For someone who experiences health anxiety, that has near enough gone, because I just know there is something that I have that can assist. And that has been so powerful for me and on my journey. I've also found that I can just retain this information about homeopathy, which is something that I've never really discovered before. So I cannot thank homeopathy enough. And also Eugenie Kruger's groups has just been amazing for education. So thank you.
We have been using homeopathy in my community since 1996. In my experience, one of the most difficult things about homeopathy is believing how miraculous it actually is. Unless you've experienced it, it's truly hard to believe. One member of our community got sick from gathering misidentified edible mushrooms. He was throwing up so badly and so often that we could only get a couple of drops in a remedy diluted in water into his mouth before he'd throw up again. By the time we got to him, he had already been vomiting for 20 minutes straight. With only 2 doses of the remedy, each one just whatever drops we could put in his mouth before he threw up, he stopped vomiting entirely. Continuing with the remedy that evening, he was fine the next day. I have so many examples like this. Another one, my dog had a thorn stuck in her paw. She was a big dog, and the thick pad of her paw held the thorn in. So though we poked and dug around with a needle, we couldn't get it out. We gave her a remedy in the morning that we repeated every 2 hours. By late afternoon, when I lifted her paw and gently squeezed the pad just to see how it was doing, the thorn shot out into the air and onto the floor beside her. Several years ago, I closed my finger in a car door so thoroughly that I had to reach into the pocket on the other side of my pants to get the key out and unlock the door before I could get my hand out. I used a homeopathic remedy every 15 minutes for several hours. By the end of the day, you could barely see a bruise on the finger, and it was only mildly sore. I've seen homeopathy stop a UTI in a day. I've seen a yeast infection cured with a remedy that was prescribed solely on emotional issues. My partner had a tooth pulled several months ago without any over-the-counter or prescription pain medicine. He used only homeopathy, and the dentist was astonished at the healing that happened in just 1 week. That's happened several times. A midwife in our community uses homeopathy to relieve pain in labor, calm the mother and the baby, address issues of blood pressure and hemorrhaging, in birth after birth after birth. The last homeopathic birth I attended, the mother cooked holiday dinner up until 3 hours before the baby was born. The baby was born into water. He didn't even cry. He just looked up at us in wonder. One of the best things about using homeopathy is how it treats things as immediate as first aid crises to more chronic things such as seasonal allergies, and all the way to the deepest illnesses, mental illness, life-threatening illnesses, generational illnesses even. Because I've watched homeopathy restore people to health in mind, body, and spirit with near miraculous ease, I'm now studying at Prometheus Homeopathic Institute in the U.S. I'm learning at Phi that the miraculous things I've seen using homeopathy are just scratching the surface of what it can do. My only regret is that I didn't go to homeopathy school sooner. The world needs more homeopaths.
Homeopathy is really quite amazing, magical, I would say even. I'm not a homeopath, just a home user, but I've seen results, you can't deny. Since my kids were babies, dealing with their temperatures to right now, 13 years later, gone through a parasite detox myself and detoxing my kids from mold. And I see the results in front of my eyes, and it is beyond me how it is labeled quackery in public. I hope it will change. I know it will change. I myself want to go and study homeopathy. So one person at a time, and we will get there.
Hi, Eugenie. I'm Ritu Tangri, one of the homeopaths on your team, and I love my work. For so many years, we've seen some great cases with very satisfying results. So, and that's why these moments remind me that why I love my work, why we all love our work so much. So for starters, I've seen some great success with ear infections, hay fever, seasonal allergies, and, stubborn chronic bronchitis and asthma. And what I rely on is a powerful combination of constitutional remedies, a tissue salts, and a miasmatic remedy to help clear any inherited patterns. And I've seen that it really helps clearing up the tendency and pattern to the infections and any allergies, etc. Other recent cases, that I've had some quick successes with is a patient who had bone spurs and had been in intense pain for 2 to 3 years. And what I gave her was an Narayani bone mix. And within 3 weeks, her pain was gone. And she couldn't believe it. Neither could her orthopedic surgeon. Another case of left-sided sciatica, I'd again used quite a few remedies, including colocin, etc., but Magfos and a few other very well-indicated remedies, which didn't help. So eventually I used Narayani sciatica remedy and a lumbar mix, which really cleared up the case. Usually, for any bronchitis and asthma and chest related cases, I've seen that chest tissue salts and Narayani chest tissue salts really work well and, boost the immune system of the patient. For flus and seasonal allergies, flus basically, and especially when you're moving into winters or if there's change of weather, I personally, me and my family can swear by the Narayani flu remedy, which is an absolute winner for us, including the CZC mix, which is your China, Kakira Phos, and zinc. That also really helps. So it's a very powerful and magical combination. Recently, I had a case of long-standing shoulder pain, which improved with a constitutional remedy. For her, it was calcarea carb, red light therapy, and a good massage of castor oil into the shoulder. So that really worked beautifully. I've had another case with H. pylori, for which H. pylori and potency worked really well. She had been really suffering with acute abdominal pains, bloating, poor appetite, and a lot of associated symptoms. One tricky case, and often I see women with intense itching, and it's just dry vaginitis. There is no discharge, nothing, but the itching is very violent and it can be very, disturbing and very uncomfortable. So for me, as an acute measure, caladium 30 or 200 really works well. And then obviously backed by some constitutional remedy, which kind of can work wonders and, prevent the recurrence. Finally, for example, I've seen quite a few cases of folliculitis in middle age, early 30s to late 30s, women from the age of 30 to 40. I've had a few cases. But usually the pattern that I've seen is that many of them are insulin resistant. And then, so the focus has to be supporting the endocrine system with homeopathic treatment as well as some lifestyle changes. And, there's been incredible difference in not just symptomatically, but also breaking the cycle. So really, these kind of cases where you see people getting back to their comfort and confidence, that makes this work very, very rewarding. And thank you for having me on board, Eugenie. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and be on your team. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody. It's Nicole McConnon, homeopath here in Perth, Western Australia. I am also very grateful and very privileged to be one of the homeopaths on Eugenie's team. As you can hear from my accent, I'm not originally from Australia. I'm originally from Dublin in Ireland, but moved to Perth 10 years ago this year. Eugenie has been hounding me for quite some time now to do a podcast with her, and I will do one of these days. But I just thought, as she was looking for something very brief and very short, that maybe for Homeopathy Awareness Week, that I would share a little bit of my story in the last 5 years, in the hope that someone somewhere might be listening to this and that they too may know that there is hope through using homeopathy and that they can, feel supported if they choose to try it as well. To date, it has had the most profound impact on me with the story that I'm going to just briefly share with you. So in September of 2020, right in the middle of COVID, my husband, Paul, became ill. His illness came from nowhere. He was out running one day and he was in hospital the next. 2 weeks later, he was diagnosed with cancer. He had a rare neuroendocrine cancer that was growing in his bowel. And within 5.5 weeks of his diagnosis, Paul was gone. We were stuck in the whole hospital system at the time, didn't really feel I had any other option or choice. There was no time. We just had no time. We were isolated, as you can imagine. We were no family able to come into us in Australia. In Perth, we had no COVID in the community, so we were actually free to be out and about. So that's the one thing I am grateful for myself, and especially for my children, that we were able to spend those weeks with Paul by his bedside, because I know obviously in other countries people were not able to do that, but we were. So that was great. But none of Paul's family could get into us. None of my family could get to us. And that was really hard. We were very lucky that we did have friends, and the schools and the clubs that the children were in, they all rallied around and really helped. And that has really helped my journey at the time. But just to get back to how homeopathy helped and whatnot, and for somebody who might be listening today, it was then that homeopathy really had its most profound impact on me and has pushed me, I suppose, to want to do this like on a full-time basis, which I do. And to, this is my passion in life now. I want to work as a homeopath. And people just need to know about homeopathy, not just for this, but for everything. It's just amazing. So despite the complete chaos, because of the remedies, they kept us grounded. They really, really helped me. They helped me and the children to stay emotionally strong. People commented on it at the time, and they still do. The remedies just ignited the vital force and gave me and the children the strength to keep going. Obviously the children can pick up a lot from me, so, and whatnot, but the remedies really helped all of us. I suppose where I wanted to get it out there today was, right, homeopathy is not going to take away your pain. It can't change what happens, but what it does do is that it's going to help for a much softer landing. It supports you. It helped me and my children find some peace in the darkest days that we had. And I suppose just with homeopathy, just know that whether it's grief, the loss of someone passing away, or some other life challenge, just know that healing is possible with homeopathy. I encourage you to try.